Hello dear 1000 PS friends, I'm Philipp and I'm sending you a warm hello from a garage in Rijeka. You can see it right in front of me. The reason why I'm here, I've spent half the day riding the brand new Yamaha R3. And I'll tell you in just a moment why this might actually be everything a motorcyclist needs today. Yes, folks, as I said, the Yamaha R3 is standing right here in front of me. It's definitely had some updates. You might not see it so clearly from your angle, but especially the front has changed and the fairings on the sides have been tweaked a little as well. Yamaha's really leaned into the R world now. You probably know already there's the R125, which kicks off Yamaha's sport bike line. Then we've got this new R3. There's also the R7, which basically ended production last year. Then there's the new R9. We've already done a video on that one. And maybe I'll even be able to film another video on it tomorrow out on the back roads. And of course, there's the legendary R1. But today it's all about this bike, the R3, because it's now visually really close to its bigger sisters. You really see it from the front with the LED headlights and position lights, but also the way the side fairings are sharply cut. And honestly, when you spot one on the road, you really have to look once, twice, maybe 3 times to work out if it's an R125, an R3, or even an R9. From a marketing perspective, I think that's pretty clever, because whether you go for the R125 or the R3 like this one here, you already get the visual feeling and presence of a proper big sport bike. So design-wise, I think it's already a big step forward. But for me, it's not really about the design, because let's face it, design is always a matter of taste. Whether you like it or not is something only you can decide once you're standing in the showroom or taking it for a test ride. What I really want to share with you is the feeling you get when riding it. Today we were out riding around Rijeka, that's a coastal town in Croatia, on some absolutely beautiful roads. The tarmac ranged from middling to excellent, with both tight and sweeping corners. And in all those different riding conditions, the R3 gave us some really great feedback and a really good overall feel. Now let me give you a bit of context so you can better understand it. Our day started really early and we rode to the test track in Rijeka, the circuit. And we got there on the R3. So we arrived in full road setup. Then we were out on the racetrack with the R9 and the R1 GYTR. Obviously those are completely different machines. Afterwards we rode back from the circuit again on the R3, taking the mountain roads and coastal stretches I mentioned. And when we got back to the hotel, all the journalists who were riding with me had big smiles on their faces. And the reason is simple, the R3 is the kind of bike that, if you've got a bit more riding experience, feels almost like a toy, but in a good way, because you can really wring it out. You can genuinely learn how to ride well on a bike like this. And I think that's exactly why we all had such a laugh when we got back to the hotel. It was just proper riding fun. Now let me break down for you in more detail why we enjoyed it so much. Quick basics on the R3. We've got a twin-cylinder engine with 321 cubic centimeters. It puts out 42 horsepower. Torque is just under 30 Newton meters. So no, it's not a powerhouse, but the bike only weighs 169 kilograms, fully fueled and ready to ride. That's pretty much bang on the limit for the A2 license class. And yes, there's also a race version of this bike, but this is the standard production model. And I'd position it like this. Sure, with an A2 license, you could also go and buy a used R7, restricted down to 48 horsepower, and save the money you'd otherwise spend on the R3. Then you'd have a bike you could later de-restrict and keep for longer. But I totally get why someone would instead go for something built specifically for the A2 category. And that's what the R3 is. It's purpose-built for this market, for this segment, which is why it's not overloaded with extra suspension, brakes or weight you don't actually need, because you don't have the speed for it. Everything here is really well matched. And now I want to show you just how good the front fork is. We've got a 37mm upside down fork. It's not adjustable, but if I press down on it, you can feel it. It gives proper feedback. There's proper hydraulic damping there. It doesn't just collapse. Nothing about it feels cheap. It's genuinely good quality. Same goes for the rear shock. Of course, it's not the same as what you get in an R1, but then again, the bike costs a lot less. We're talking around 7,300 euros in Germany, just under 7,500 euros in Austria, and roughly 7,200 Swiss francs in Switzerland. So it's what I'd call a relatively affordable bike, in quotes, and yet it's got proper suspension, a decent rear shock, a chassis and frame that really give you clear feedback. Now I want to say something about the riding position. Personally, whenever I see these smaller super sport bikes, I get a bit tense. I'm 1.85 m, and when I get on these things, I always worry that I'll feel cramped or just not sit comfortably. But when I sit on the Yamaha R3 with my 1.85 height and fairly average body to leg proportions, and I grab the bars, they're not pointlessly low and they're not awkwardly high either. They're just spot on, in my opinion, for the kind of riding this bike's made for. I don't have too much weight on my wrists, which gets tiring over time. The bars are also nicely wide. The knee grip area isn't perfect, but it's good. You can really lock yourself into the bike. And if you do want to tuck in a bit more, you can slide back a little and use the tail section as a good anchor point. You can really get yourself compact on the bike. So ergonomically, this is genuinely a bike that works for riders from small to tall. Seat height is 790mm. And because the bike is relatively narrow at the seat area, even shorter riders can get their feet on the ground. But more generally about the riding experience, as I said, I'd describe it as more comfortable than overly sporty. And with these types of bikes, you often expect a front-heavy, super stable ride. But when I got on this thing and rode it, it actually felt really playful, almost like an MT-03. So almost like a naked bike. Even though the riding position is much more active, the handling still feels playful. That's partly down to the good suspension, the smart chassis, but also the tires. Up front, we've got a 110/70 R17 and a 140/70 R17 at the rear. The bike comes with a good grippy Dunlop tire as standard, so Yamaha hasn't cut corners here. The tire does a lot, and it does it well for this bike. We pushed it a bit today in the surrounding area and had a proper laugh. The tires really played their part. No one had any grip issues. Another thing worth mentioning is the gearbox. The R3 now also comes with a slipper clutch. That means the rear wheel doesn't lock up when downshifting. That's ideal for beginners or riders who aren't quite as experienced. The gearbox overall shifts really nicely. There's an optional quickshifter for about 250 euros. Honestly, we weren't totally blown away by it. Some people liked it more, others less. It only works when upshifting under load. No blipper function for downshifts. Do you really need it? To be honest, with this kind of bike, shifting is part of the fun anyway. The quickshifter wasn't always perfectly smooth either, so maybe you're better off leaving it off at first. You can always add it later if you want. Personally, I used it a few times today, not as often as I thought I would, because it still isn't working perfectly yet. Do you need it? No, you really don't. Save the 250 euros and spend it on tires, fuel, or a track day. Let's talk brakes. Up front, we've got a single disc, 298mm. That's actually not that small. Twin piston caliper, braking performance is solid. Not phenomenal, but definitely good. When we got the bikes, they barely had any miles on them, so you could feel they needed to bed in a bit. But over time, they just kept getting better. The bike has ABS, so wheel lockup is avoided. The rear brake is easy to modulate and works well too. So when it comes to suspension, brakes and the engine, everything is well matched. Nothing is outstandingly good or bad, it's just a really well-balanced package. And that's why I think if you're looking at this kind of bike, you can buy the R3 pretty confidently. I also think the pricing is really appealing. If I compare it to something like a similar KTM, there you're only getting a single cylinder, maybe with a few more gadgets here and there. But overall, if I'm only looking at riding fun, this class really impressed me. There are some bonus features. We've got LED lighting, a new LCD display, even a USB charging socket. But to be honest, those little things aren't that important to me. What matters is how it rides. Do I enjoy it or not? And I can honestly say, even after riding those big sport bikes today, this one was loads of fun. So if you're looking for a sport bike in this category, I can genuinely say, give the R3 a go. Take it for a spin, enjoy the twin cylinder, enjoy the really solid chassis, the playful handling, and maybe learn to ride properly with just 42 horsepower. But believe me, those 42 horsepower in this package are a blast. And everyone said that today. And believe me, we are no amateurs. That was proper riding fun. So if this sounds like your kind of thing, give it a go. I don't think you'll be disappointed. With that, lots of love from Rijeka. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments or check out my full review. It'll be linked. If you liked the video, you know the drill. Give it a like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And with that, kisses and goodbye from Rijeka.